guys, welcome or welcome back. I feel like any time that I'm sitting in this corner, I'm surrounded by books. I was not planning to do a book unhaul today. I was picking up around my room and had to put back a lot of books that were just on my floor onto my shelves. And while I was doing that, I just started picking off books that I thought that I didn't need anymore because I needed shelf space. I thought maybe I was gonna get rid of like 5-6 books. This is the amount we got. This is insane. This is the biggest unhaul that I've ever had. I have a really hard time with letting go of books. A lot of times I hold on to them for sentimental reasons, or I try to convince myself that I will eventually read them. However, a lot of these have just been on my shelves for years and I've yet to read them. And now I'm at a point where my reading tastes have changed and I don't want to read some of these anymore. And even more embarrassing, some of these I think are more recent books that I've gotten, but I need to be honest with myself, and if I don't think I'm going to read them, I want to get rid of them. Some of these I do plan to donate to little free libraries around my area. Others I do want to try to resell on Pango. If you're watching this video and you're interested in any of them, I will have my Pango link in the description box, so if you want to shop or buy any of the books I'm about to go over, they will be available over there. But that's about it. I've been seeing a lot of unhaul videos and they have inspired me, so I think it will be great to kind of get rid of a bunch of books for the new year, and then I'll have a bunch of space to reorganize and fill with new books. I'm just gonna start with this stack. This one is A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. I did like Divine Rivals. I thought her writing was really beautiful, but this is a book that I've had on my shelf forever and I really don't think I'm gonna get around to reading it. I read the summary. It doesn't really sound interesting to me anymore, so I think I am gonna get rid of this one. It's a thick one too. Like, I am never gonna pick this up. Another book of the month one is The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. I have heard good things about it, but I just don't think I would enjoy this. I don't really like historical fiction. I know this is more of a historical fantasy, but the fact that the story is like spanning over 200 years, I'm not gonna read this, so I am gonna unhaul it. I know a lot of these don't need explanations, but I know myself and I'm gonna try to give excuses for each book, even though I don't need to, so I'm gonna try to not spend too much time on each one. Next, I have The Collective by Allison Galen. I remember being really excited for this one when I originally bought it. I don't think it sounds like something I would like anymore. Next, I have Into the Water by Paula Hawkins. I did really enjoy The Girl on the Train by this author. This is another like small town mystery, but I've been trying to convince myself I'm going to read this book for years and I haven't, so I'm getting rid of it. We Were Never Here by Andrea Bartz. I honestly don't even remember ever getting this. I don't know where I purchased this from, but it's one of those stories where they go on a trip and one of the friends die. I don't know. I have Love on the Brain by Allie Hazelwood. I tried to read this book because I loved The Love Hypothesis by this author. I couldn't really get into it and it's not one that I want to try to read again, so that's the main reason I'm getting rid of it. Also though, all of my contemporary romance books are paperback, so I don't know why I got a hardcover. This book, Final Girls, has the same premise of another book I read, The Final Girls Support Group by Grady Hendrix. Okay, that was basically a horror version of this. This is a mystery thriller version, but it's the same concept. The Grady Hendrix one, traumatized is a strong word, so I'm not going to use the word traumatized, but there were scenes in that book that I found very disturbing and I still think about to this day. I think reading this book, it'll be too similar and it's just going to remind me of the really awful things that happened in the Grady Hendrix one. So I'm not going to read this one. I do want to read more Riley Sager books though. I can't do this one though. Up next, I have Lisa Jewell's The Family Upstairs. I tried to read this book I think last October. I DNF'd it. I do want to try to read other Lisa Jewell books, but I did not like this one, so I'm going to unhaul it. Victoria Aveyard War Storm. I think this is like book 4 in the Red Queen series. I did read Red Queen, the first book, and really enjoyed it, but not enough to continue the series. I know that doesn't make sense, but that happens a lot with me. I'll really enjoy the first book, but not enough to read a whole series about it. Sometimes I just think book 1 is all I needed, and that's how I felt about this series. The Maze Runner by James Dashner. I love this movie. I don't think I'm going to read the book. Also, I definitely thrifted this, and this has, I think it's just water damage. Kind of looks like a health hazard though. I'm gonna put that one to the side. I don't even know if I should be donating that one. Apples Never Fall by Leanne Moriarty. I know this movie adaptation is coming out soon. I know Amanda is trying to read this book before the movie comes out. I don't feel the same way. I read the summary and even though I think it could be an interesting story, I don't want to sit here and read it. I really don't. And then the movie adaptation is gonna come out anyway, or the TV show. I'm gonna watch that. I'm not gonna read this. I have When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. Main reason, I'm not gonna lie, it's like mass market size. list, and I have no place for that on my shelves. I don't think I own any other mass market book, so I don't know why I got this one mass market. It's like a small town type of thriller. I'm not really interested. I know you're asking why did I get it then? I don't know. I have a problem. I have a couple YA contemporary books that I'm finally getting rid of. I say finally because these are some of the first books I ever bought. The Art of Breaking Things by Laura Simpson. The Survival List by Courtney Shenmel. This one's like a YA mystery, and the front says pay attention to the details, and that's always what got me to put it back on my shelf because that sounded so fun. But I gotta let it go. I have Nick and June Were Here by Shalonda Stanley. This one, I'm getting rid of it. Next, I have Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson. This I always thought would be a good summer read. It's a YA cute contemporary. I don't think I'm gonna read it this summer. I really don't. I'm gonna flip these around so you can see them. These are the ones I already showed you guys. I have Perfectly Nice Neighbors by Kia Abdullah. I actually did just get this one from Aardvark. They sent it to me in one of the boxes, but I don't think I want to read this one. It's again like a neighborhood thriller. I'm not interested in those, and I think the neighbor's like racist, which would just piss me off. I'm not gonna read this one. The Oracle Year by Charles Soule. I got this from half price, I guess. The sticker is still on there. I bought this because I like the cover, and that's it. I mean, it is a very good cover. I'm not ever gonna read it. A Deal with the Elf King by Elise Kova. I love this cover. Don't worry, I am gonna read this book. We just found a better copy. This one's just kind of like banged up. So I am gonna read this one, but I don't need 2 copies. I have books 2 and 3 in the Shadow and Bone series. Let's be so for real. I'm not reading these. I DNF'd Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. If anything, I will try to read Ninth House again. I can guarantee if I read Shadow and Bone, I'm not gonna continue with the series. It's gonna be one of those things where I only read book 1 and I'm content with book 1, but I'm not gonna need these 2, I promise. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I know that this one is super popular because of the really successful like movie adaptations. I'm not saying that's why this is super popular. I'm just saying I know the adaptation was super successful, and that means the book had to have been amazing. I think I bought the first 3. I already unhauled the other 2. I'm not gonna read this. I need to unhaul this one. I'm like embarrassed that I'm getting rid of this many books. I know it's kind of a good thing for my sake, but it's also really embarrassing to not have read a lot of these and I'm getting rid of them. I have The Merciless 3 by Danielle Vega. Really enjoyed book 1. It was like a YA horror book. Wouldn't read a series about it though. This is like a stack of other YA contemporaries and YA books I'm not gonna read. All We Can Do Is Wait by Richard Lawson. Memoirs of a Teenage Amnesiac by Gabrielle Zevin. Hold on. I don't know why I've heard of that author before, but these 2 books my best friend Bailey and I bought years ago thinking we were gonna read this as like a little book club book. We've never read them. This one's like a bunch of people meet in a waiting room and they're all waiting just to see if their loved ones make it through. I don't want to read that. And this one, a girl like hits her head, she can't remember anything and she's having to like relearn everything about her life. That also sounds sad. I don't like sad books and I know that now about myself, so I'm gonna get rid of those too. I have The Life and Death Parade by Eliza Wass. The only reason I've kept this one for so long is because The Life and Death Parade sounds like the Life and Death Brigade that is in Gilmore Girls. That's the only reason I've kept this book for so long. I'm not gonna read it. Anna and the Apocalypse by Katherine Turner. I kept thinking this would be a fun horror comedy to read around Christmas time. I've said that the past like 3 years though, and I never read it. I also thought that the movie was an adaptation of this book, but on the back it says the book is inspired by the major motion picture. I didn't know that they could do that. I have We All Looked Up by Tommy Wallach. I just super love this cover. I have Morning Star by Pierce Brown. I do want to read this Red Rising saga, but if I want to continue with that series, I'm going to get hardcover. The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. I love this book. I have it in hardcover now, and I don't need paperback. We have Game Changer by Neil Shusterman. Same deal. I have this in hardcover. I don't need the paperback. I have 3 books that I think are 3 arcs. I really thought that Amanda and I would read these, and then we're like, we're not gonna read these. There's Foul is Fair by Hannah Capin, Lesser Beast by Mark Essig, and All Adults Here by Emma Straub. I know that I can't sell those, so I will put those in little free libraries around me. I have The Girl on Wildfire Ridge by Leslie Wolfe. The main reason I'm getting rid of this one, it says Detective K Sharp book 4. This is book 4 in a series, and even though I think you can read these as standalones, I wouldn't want to start on book 4 regardless. Lisa Gardner right behind you. I am gonna read a Lisa Gardner book soon. It's not gonna be this one though. I have The Nesting by TJ Cook. I'm not reading it. I don't even care to read what the back is about. Okay, fine, I'll read it. The woods are creeping in on a nanny and two young girls in the chilling modern gothic thriller. Catherine Center, Things You Save in a Fire. I do want to read a Catherine Center book. This one just didn't sound like the one for me. What is that? We have The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. Had this for years. I'm not reading it. Maria Semple, Where'd You Go, Bernadette? Another general fiction, like contemporary fiction kind of book. Water for Elephants, Don't Hate Me. I think when I did haul this too, people were excited that I got it, but I don't want to lie and keep it on my shelf and then just never read it, and I don't think I will. The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime by Mark Haddon. Actually, I thought I was gonna read this. No, I'm gonna read this. This sounds really good. I'm not too sure. I'm gonna read this one. Oops, sorry. I don't know how that got into the pile. I didn't mean to put that one in there. The Martian by Andy Weir. Don't worry, I have this hardcover. Yeah, I'm looking at it, and that's the only reason I'm getting rid of the paperback. Lisa Gardner, Never Tell. It's, again, one of those stories where it's like they think the wife did it, and I have a feeling she didn't, and I don't want her to be blamed for it. I don't want to read and wait around for the detectives to realize she didn't do it, so I don't want to read that one. The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson. Amanda and I, months ago, were going to do a video where we bought a book for each other and we were going to swap, so because of that, I went and read like what this whole book was about. Full spoilers, like read a chapter by chapter summary of what it was about, so that when she read it, like I could talk to her about it, and then we never ended up doing that video. She ended up keeping the one she was gonna give me, which was fine. She didn't really want this one, so I think I'm just gonna put it on Pango. It's a brand new book, and I mean, I read the whole summary. I thought it was a pretty good ending, but I'm not gonna read the book. I have The Silkworm by Robert Galbraith. It doesn't even matter. This is J.K. Rowling. This is J.K. Rowling. If this was a pseudonym, why did they put a sticker that says J.K. Rowling, written by J.K. Rowling? That's crazy. I'm not gonna read that. Nicholas Sparks, Every Breath. Don't come at me. I know people have been wanting me to read a Nicholas Sparks. See, like, have you ever, I'm not gonna say anything. Have you ever seen a woman author? And honestly, maybe they did this back in the day, because I know that that's more common, like years ago, to put their author photo fully on the back hardcover dust jacket, but that's just crazy. I haven't seen that. I've heard he has good writing, and I don't doubt it. This book in particular, I don't think is the one for me to read, though, by him. Ruth Ware's The Death of Westway. Okay, I can't even read the way that that's stacked. The Death of Mrs. Westway by Ruth Ware. There's not even a summary on the back. Sorry I'm sounding like a broken record. There's not much for me to say. I don't want any of these books. That's all I'm saying. The Whisper Network by Chandler. Mrs. Chandler Bong. I can't believe I just said that as Chandler. This is The Whisper Network by Chandler Baker. My gosh. This I impulse bought at Ollie's because it was only $4. Now I'm realizing that's not even a great deal, but I don't think I'm gonna read that. Oh, this is the second book. The Girl Who Played with Fire. Yeah, I'm not gonna read the first one. I'm not gonna read this one. The Girl from Widow Hills by Megan Miranda. I did just get a Megan Miranda book that I am more interested in than this one. The Immortalist by Chloe Benjamin. I tuned out while reading the back, so that just tells you enough about how I feel about that. Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. Honestly, I think it's because I was with Amanda when she was reading this one, and the way that the story is set up, I don't think I will enjoy, if that makes sense. I'm not going to spoil it for anyone who hasn't read it, but I don't think I'm going to like that. We've gotten to the Stephen King books. I'm not going to read either one of these. I don't know who I'm kidding. I have Stephen King's 11/22/63. This one does sound cool because there's like a time travel aspect, but let's be so for real right now. I'm not going to read that. I also have Stephen King's 4 Past Midnight. I'm not reading it. I didn't even finish The Shining. Like, no way I would read those two. I have Maybe Someday by Colleen Hoover. At the beginning of my reading journey, I did read pretty much any Colleen Hoover book that I could get my hands on, just because she was one of the first romance authors that I had found. This was one of the ones I picked up. It's been a long time since I've read a Colleen Hoover book. I know a lot of people dislike this author. I did not realize how much controversy would be around her books, especially because I read them so long ago. But seeing all the hate now is intense. That's not why I don't want to read this book. I just honestly don't like the plot of this. I also don't really read this genre anymore. I don't normally read just normal contemporary romance books anymore. I actually would be interested in reading a Colleen Hoover book now in my reading journey since I've read so many other books. Now I have like other writing to compare her to because I need to know why do so many people dislike her. Is it actually the writing or is it just a popular thing to hate on her? Let me know in the comments. Point is though, I'm not gonna read this one. I have In a Holidays by Christina Lauren. I do like Christina Lauren books. I've had this one for years. I say I'm gonna read it every Christmas and I don't even want to hang on to it anymore. Oh, this is my other one. It Ends With Us by Colleen. I don't need a hardcover romance book. I don't need it. Oh, and It Starts With Us. I didn't realize both of these were hardcover. I have The Fiction Writer by Jillian Cantor. This is an aardvark book that just, oh, so I'm getting rid of, no wait. I kept all the rest that I have from them, but I guess I'm getting rid of 2. I have Beautiful Oblivion by Jamie Maguire. I read Beautiful Disaster years ago and I really, really loved it. And I think I'm past this world. I don't need to jump back into that. Or do I want to? He works at a tattoo shop. I might hold on to it. Only because I feel like I just recently got this. I might hold on to it. I just said I don't read contemporary romances anymore, but I might hold on to it a little bit longer, Oh, this is another YA contemporary, Side Effects May Vary. I believe she thought she was dying, so she spends the last couple of months of her life like doing things off of her bucket list, but then she goes into remission and has to like deal with all of the consequences. I think this would have been a fun read when I first started reading. I don't know that I would love that now. I have The End of Her. Didn't I just get this book? It's a domestic thriller though. Oh, you guys know I hate those. I'm gonna ask Amanda if she wants this one. I have All Our Broken Pieces by L.D. Crichton. When it comes to like this genre, I have all the rest in paperback. So it just makes sense for me to keep the paperback and unhaul this one. This one was such a good book. This is like a YA coming of age contemporary story. There's a romance in it, but also it deals with mental health. Our main character has OCD and she meets her next door neighbor and like finds comfort in him. Oh, this was so, I would love to reread this. This was such a good book. Books like this is like what make me love YA books. I just know I really enjoyed it when I read it. I was holding on to this bad boy for a long time. I do have like a collector special edition, so I don't need the paperback as well, and my best friend Bailey does not own this book yet, so I'm gonna give it to her. Also 2 more. I had an extra copy of Lightlark. I don't know how that happened. I bought it not knowing I already owned it then, I guess, before I had read it. I really like this book, but that's brand new. And then Amanda also wanted my other copy of Coraline. When I ordered this from Book Outlet, they gave me 2. So I have the one that I read and annotated, and then I found my second copy, so Amanda can have this one. That was all of my books though. 66 books. I just counted. This was 66 books that I just unhauled. That's insane. I think a lot of these books though, I bought early on in my journey and I didn't yet know what genres, what authors, what types of books that I like. Now I think I could be more picky when I buy books. I do sometimes have trouble with impulse buying. This experience has been eye-opening though, so hopefully next time we go book thrifting, I can remind myself, just because it's a good price does not mean you have to buy it. I want to be more realistic with myself. I want to only purchase books that I think I'm really going to love and enjoy, and books that I would want to read right now. I'm really proud of myself getting rid of all these books. It's so hard for me to get rid of things, so I think this is just the first step. I'm looking around my shelves. I definitely have more that I think I could possibly unhaul in the future, but I'm gonna give them a little more time. Amanda and I will both be reorganizing our shelves sometime soon, so that is going to be a whole video. We're also going to do a video going over all of the physical books we have on our TBR. That will be even more eye-opening for me, and I think when we do that, I am going to have a physical TBR shelf. So once I'm able to see all the books I have on my shelves unread in one spot, if those don't get read this year, a lot of them I think I will be able to unhaul. So that will be interesting once we get there. For today at least, I'm glad I was able to unhaul all of these books. Again, I do think I'm going to be listing most of these on Pango. That link will be in the description. The ARCs I'm definitely going to put in a little free library. Some of the more banged up ones I'll put in a little free library. But yeah, I think that's it for this video. I'm, as always, having trouble with video ideas for this channel because everything I think of doing, we can just do on Miranda. So I know I ask all the time, but let me know what you guys want to see from me over on this channel. Make sure to join our Literal Besties book club if you haven't already. That link will be in the description. Also, make sure to check out my shared channel if you haven't already. We post very consistently over there, so I will link that as well. Let me know in the comments what books you've recently unhauled, if any. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you guys next time. I hope the lighting's okay. I actually opened my window for the first time in years. That's dramatic. For the first time in a long time. And I feel like my room is so bright right now. I normally have it dark, like a layer. I did read like all of the Holleen Coover. Hello? Holleen Coover. Holleen Coover? Whoa.